At 28,000 feet, Sarah's oxygen tank showed empty. Her team was gone. She had two choices: turn back and survive, or push forward into the death zone alone. This is her story. Let me take you back to where it all started, 6 months before that moment on the mountain. Sarah Chen was an ordinary office worker in Seattle. Every morning she would commute to work, that means travel regularly to and from her job. She spent 8 hours staring at computer screens, answering emails, attending meetings. But Sarah had a dream. Not the kind of dream you have when you sleep. A goal, something you want to achieve in life. On her office wall, she kept one photograph: Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world. 29,032 feet of ice, rock, and danger. Her coworkers thought she was crazy. That means foolish or mad. You? They laughed. You can't even climb the stairs without getting out of breath. But their words didn't discourage her. They didn't make her lose confidence. Instead, they motivated her. They pushed her forward. "I will prove them wrong," she whispered to herself every night. Training for Everest is not easy. It requires dedication, complete commitment to your goal. Sarah's life transformed completely. That means it changed in a major way. Every morning at 5 a.m., her alarm would go off. That means ring or sound. She would drag herself out of bed, move slowly and unwillingly. She started with simple exercises: running, swimming, lifting weights. She hired a personal trainer named Marcus, a former mountaineer who had summited Everest 3 times. "Your biggest enemy," Marcus told her, "is not the mountain, it's your mind. When your body wants to quit, your mind must be stronger." Month after month, Sarah pushed her limits. She went beyond what she thought was possible. She climbed smaller mountains, first Mount Rainier in Washington, then Kilimanjaro in Africa, then Aconcagua in South America. Each climb taught her valuable lessons, important things she learned from experience. She learned about altitude sickness, the illness you get when you climb too high too fast. She learned about avalanches, massive amounts of snow falling down the mountain. She learned about frostbite, when your skin freezes in extreme cold. Finally, after 6 months of grueling training, extremely tiring and difficult training, Sarah was ready. April 2023. She arrived in Kathmandu, Nepal. The air was thick with humidity and the smell of incense. Prayer flags fluttered in the wind. They moved back and forth quickly and lightly. She met her team, 8 climbers from different countries. There was Diego from Brazil, a photographer; Yuki from Japan, a doctor; James from Australia, an experienced guide; Priya from India, a climate scientist; and 4 others. They would rely on each other, depend on each other for survival. From Kathmandu, they took a small plane to Lukla, one of the most dangerous airports in the world. The runway was short, only 1,729 feet, and ended at a cliff. Sarah's hands gripped the armrests. She held them very tightly. Her heart was pounding, beating very hard and fast. The plane landed safely, and their trek began. For 10 days, they hiked through the Himalayas. They passed through small villages where Sherpa families lived. They crossed suspension bridges over deep valleys, bridges that hang from cables. Each day, they climbed higher. Each day, the air became thinner, containing less oxygen. Sarah felt the effects: shortness of breath, headaches, fatigue, extreme tiredness. But she persevered. She continued despite difficulties. They finally reached Everest Base Camp, 17,600 feet above sea level. This would be their home for the next month. Around them, hundreds of tents created a temporary city. Climbers from around the world, all with the same dream: to stand on top of the world. But here's what most people don't know. Reaching the summit is only half the challenge. You also have to come back down alive. And not everyone does. Sarah saw the memorial area, stones with names of climbers who never returned. Over 300 people have died on Everest. Their bodies remain on the mountain, frozen forever. She felt a chill run down her spine, a sudden feeling of fear. Am I making a mistake? She wondered. Before attempting the summit, climbers must acclimatize, adjust to the high altitude. This takes weeks. They made several rotations, trips up and down the mountain. They would climb to Camp 1 at 20,000 feet, sleep there, then return to base camp. Then to Camp 2 at 21,000 feet, then back down. This teaches the body to function with less oxygen. Sarah's body struggled, had difficulty. One night at Camp 2, she couldn't sleep. Her head throbbed, pulsed with pain. She felt nauseous, felt like she would vomit. Yuki, the doctor, checked her oxygen levels. "You're at 75%, she said. "Normal at sea level is 95 to 100%. Your body needs time." During these weeks, the team bonded, formed close connections. They shared stories around the dinner table. Diego showed them photos of his daughter. Priya explained how climate change was affecting Everest. The glaciers were melting. The ice was becoming unstable. James, the guide, was serious. "Listen carefully," he said one evening. "When we go for the summit, we'll enter the death zone, above 26,000 feet. At that altitude, your body is dying. Every minute you spend there, you're using up your life. We'll have a small window, a limited time period. If we don't summit by 1 p.m., we turn back. No exceptions." Everyone nodded solemnly, seriously, and without humor. Timing is everything on Everest. Climbers wait for a weather window, a period of good weather. The mountain creates its own weather system, and conditions can change in minutes. For weeks they waited. Strong winds battered the mountain, hit it repeatedly with force. Temperatures dropped to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Then, in mid-May, the forecast showed a potential window, 3 days of calmer weather. "This is it," James announced. "We leave for Camp 3 tomorrow." Sarah's heart raced, beat very fast. She was excited but terrified. She called her mother using the satellite phone. "Mom, we're going for it." Her mother's voice crackled through the static, made sharp, breaking sounds. "Please be careful, sweetheart. Come home to me." "I will, Mom, I promise." But promises on Everest are hard to keep. The climb to Camp 3 takes you through the Khumbu Icefall, one of the most dangerous sections of Everest. Massive blocks of ice the size of houses teeter unstably, balance unsteadily. Climbers must cross deep crevasses, cracks in the ice, on aluminum ladders. Sarah looked down into one. It was bottomless. Dark blue ice disappeared into nothingness. "Don't look down," James instructed. "Look forward, one step at a time." Sarah's legs trembled, shook slightly with fear. But she crossed, ladder after ladder, hour after hour. They reached Camp 3, then pushed to Camp 4, the final camp before the summit. 26,000 feet, the death zone. Sarah felt like she was breathing through a straw. Every breath was labored, required great effort. Her mind felt foggy, unclear, and confused. At 9 p.m. they tried to sleep, but sleep was nearly impossible. Sarah dozed off for minutes at a time, fell into light sleep briefly. "Mom, we're going for it." Her mother's voice crackled through the static, made sharp, breaking sounds. "Please be careful, sweetheart. Come home to me." "I will, Mom. I promise." But promises on Everest are hard to keep. The climb to Camp 3 takes you through the Khumbu Icefall, one of the most dangerous sections of Everest. Massive blocks of ice the size of houses teeter unstably, balance unsteadily. Climbers must cross deep crevices, cracks in the ice, on aluminum ladders. Sarah looked down into one. It was bottomless. Dark blue ice disappeared into nothingness. "Don't look down," James instructed. "Look forward, one step at a time." Sarah's legs trembled, shook slightly with fear. But she crossed, ladder after ladder, hour after hour. They reached Camp 3, then pushed to Camp 4, the final camp before the summit, 26,000 feet, the death zone. Sarah felt like she was breathing through a straw. Every breath was labored, required great effort. Her mind felt foggy, unclear, and confused. At 9 p.m., they tried to sleep, but sleep was nearly impossible. Sarah dozed off for minutes at a time, fell into light sleep briefly. At 11 p.m., James woke them up. Time to go. Summit night is surreal, strange, and dreamlike. You climb in complete darkness, following only the headlamp of the person in front of you. The temperature was minus 30 degrees. The wind howled, made a loud, mournful sound. Sarah wore 5 layers of clothing, but still felt frozen. They climbed slowly. Step. Breathe. 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 Step. The pace was agonizingly slow. The speed was painfully slow. Hours passed. Sarah entered a trance, a half-conscious state. She wasn't fully aware anymore. Her body moved automatically. They reached the balcony at 27,500 feet. Time to change oxygen bottles. But something was wrong. James checked everyone's equipment. When he reached Sarah, his expression changed. "Sarah, your regulator's malfunctioning, not working properly. It's leaking oxygen." Her heart sank. This was the problem she would face hours later at 28,000 feet. What happened next would test everything Sarah had learned, every ounce of strength, every moment of training. But I'll tell you this, the most important lesson wasn't about climbing at all. James examined Sarah's oxygen system. "The regulator is broken. You're losing oxygen twice as fast as normal." The team gathered around, their headlamps creating a circle of light in the darkness. "You need to go down," James said, "now, before it's too late." Sarah felt tears freeze on her cheeks. She had come so far. The summit was only 1,500 feet above them, about 2 more hours of climbing. "I can make it," Sarah said. "I can use less oxygen. I'll breathe more carefully." Diego shook his head. "Sarah, don't be foolish. Don't make a stupid decision. The summit isn't worth your life." But deep inside, Sarah felt something. Not stubbornness, not just refusing to change your mind. It was something else. Determination, the belief that she could do this. "I'm continuing," she said quietly. James studied her face. "Then I'm going with you. The others should descend." But the team refused. "We started together," Yuki said. "We finished together." This is what mountains teach us. Sometimes the greatest strength comes not from being alone, but from those who stand beside us. They climbed higher, past the south summit, along the narrow ridge with thousands of feet of exposure, steep drops on both sides. The Hillary Step, a nearly vertical rock face. Sarah's fingers, even in thick gloves, were numb, having no feeling. She looked at her oxygen gauge, almost empty. "Keep going," she told herself. "Just keep going." The sky began to lighten, become brighter. Dawn was coming. And then, at 6:47 a.m. on May 23, 2023, Sarah Chen stood on top of the world, the summit of Mount Everest. For a moment, everything was silent. No wind, just the sound of her breathing. Below her, clouds covered the valleys. The curvature of the earth was visible. Other peaks, Lhotse, Makalu, stood like giants around her. Sarah collapsed to her knees, fell down suddenly. She was overwhelmed, overcome with intense emotion. Tears streamed down her face, freezing instantly. "I did it," she whispered. "I actually did it." Diego took her photograph next to the summit flags, prayer flags from Nepal, each one representing a climber's dream. But James' voice cut through the moment, interrupted sharply. "We have 10 minutes, then we descend. Remember, getting down is the real challenge." Going down is harder than going up. Your legs are tired, your mind is exhausted, and gravity works against you. Sarah's oxygen ran out completely at 28,000 feet, the moment from our opening. Her vision blurred, became unclear. Her thoughts became scattered, disorganized, and confused. "Stay with me, Sarah." Yuki grabbed her arm. James quickly connected a spare oxygen bottle to Sarah's mask. "This is my emergency supply. We share it until Camp 4. They descended as fast as safely possible, through the death zone, past the balcony, down the steep ice faces. At Camp 4, they paused, stopped briefly to rest. But they couldn't stop for long. They needed to get lower. They continued down, past Camp 3, through the Khumbu icefall one final time, and finally, after 20 hours of continuous climbing, they reached base camp. Sarah fell into her tent and slept for 14 hours straight. 2 weeks later, Sarah was back in Seattle, back in her office, back at her desk. But everything was different. She looked at her coworkers differently. She looked at challenges differently. The traffic jam on the freeway didn't frustrate her anymore, didn't make her angry and impatient. She had learned something important on that mountain, something that changed her forever. Success isn't about reaching the summit alone. It's about the perseverance to keep training when you want to quit, the humility to accept help when you need it, the courage to face your fears, the wisdom to know that the journey matters more than the destination, and the gratitude for every person who helps you along the way. Today, Sarah still works in that office. But on her wall, next to the photo of Everest, is a new photo. Her standing on the summit, arms raised, tears on her frozen cheeks. And below it, a quote she wrote herself. "The summit is not the top of the mountain. The summit is the top of yourself." So I ask you, watching this video right now, what is your Everest? What mountain are you afraid to climb? Remember Sarah's story. Remember that every expert was once a beginner. Every champion was once a person who refused to give up. Your summit is waiting. The only question is, will you take the first step? If Sarah's story inspired you, if you learned something today about English, about life, about yourself, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell, because next week I have another incredible story that will teach you English through adventure. And remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Thank you for watching. Now go climb your mountain.